Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to invite you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. Today, I want to talk to you about seasons and the change of the seasons and the different levels of energy that come through different levels of the season. Right now, here in Western Hemisphere, or I should say Northern Hemisphere, western part of the North American continent, in California, Northern California, we are starting spring. And if there are any of you that are here at this time, and in other areas of the North American continent, certainly in the warmer areas, spring has sprung, and it is springing, and so is the level of prana increasing in the air that you breathe, in the hormones or the pheromones that are released by the flowers, by the insects, by the mammals, by the avians, by the reptiles. Everything is in a breeding scenario, a nesting scenario. If you look outside, you might see birds starting to collect twigs to make their nests, and I put things out there for them to pick up and to give strength to their nesting as well. And I invite you to do that. But the energy that is outside in the early spring is just tremendous. It is a tremendous level of grace that is given onto this world that the replication of the many species may occur. And this urge to merge, this urge to replicate, is all about the Kundalini. The Sacred Mother provides this for all the creatures on this world. The Sacred Mother, Shakti Kundalini, provides this energy for the many, many, many different species on this world to merge and reproduce. And you're also receiving this energy. So as much as you can now, if it's warm in the area where you're living, get outside barefoot if you can. Walk on the lawn, walk on the sand. If you just happen to have a nice pad that's just right next to the ocean. I mean, you can see the waves crashing from your window, the tide coming in, the tide going out, people walking on the beach. You get out there and you walk on that beach too. Get out there and let your skin come in contact with the earth. Let the air that you breathe be breathed deeply. Inhale deeply and hold it and realize that the breath is just an amazing gift that we're all given and we take total advantage of without really even knowing it. Breathe this prana in the air. Breathe this life force that is in the air. It is so, so strong right now in early spring that I want you to be really aware of the energies in the air. And I don't care if you live in the middle of a big city or you're out in the nature environment. Spring is everywhere. Spring is everywhere. And even the flowers and the plants in the big city and the animals in the big city will respond to this urge to merge. And it's very important that you respond to it as well. Be very thankful, very grateful when you go outside and you feel the sun on your head and you see the light in your eyes and you taste with your nose the scents of the air. And breathe it in deeply, folks. Breathe it in. I know some of you go, well, I've got allergies. And try to go into an area perhaps where you don't have an allergy symptom or things of that nature. Maybe go outside at night when the allergens may not be so present. In the sunshine, in the daytime, the heat of the sun, the expansion of the radiation from the sun causes the blooms to expand and causes certain pheromonal reactions from plants and animals and whatnot that are expanded and kind of like exploded out into the air. spores, from mushrooms and things of that nature exploded out into the air. Molds, they respond as well. And so the scenario is to get out into the environment and let the Kundalini help you with your allergies. Let the Kundalini begin to heal that perhaps that response that you may have from dust or dander or the accelerated energy that comes from springtime. If you're still in a cold environment, like right now, I know that some of our listeners, it's like 11 o'clock at night for them. 11 o'clock at night, and it's different going out at night than it is going out in the daytime. That's for sure. But for people that can go out at night and can get their feet into the soil, under the moon, under the stars, in the environment, naturally, I strongly suggest that you do that. Now, for those of you that are in the daytime, like it is right here, right now, it's 3:06 in the afternoon in Santa Rosa, California, Western United States. And when you go outside, the sun is very, very bright, and this is the time of year when people they're going to want to slip on those sunglasses, and I'm going to suggest that you wear the sunglasses. Certainly, if you're driving your car and you need to see, and there's a lot of refraction and reflection coming at you, definitely put your sunglasses on and clear that visual up. But if you're not driving and you don't need that polarized view, I'd like you to keep the sunglasses off to feed the energy matrix within your eyes that feed into the Kundalini. Those blue frequencies, those blue light frequencies need to come in, and this is part of the sacred male gift, the Shiva gift, the Jesus gift, the Buddha gift. This is part of the sacred male that comes in to the ocular awareness, the eyes. And it allows those specific frequencies to go straight into the optic nerve, straight into the brain, straight into the chakra system. So very important for you who are real strong sunglass wearers, to take a look at that and see where you can kind of calm down a little on the whole sunglass scenario. The other thing is during spring, you're going to feel this urge to merge, and I want you to respond to it, not necessarily with merging. There are many different ways to merge with creation. It's not all about making love or having sex or anything like that. Smelling a flower is merging with that flower. Stepping on the bare earth is merging your flesh with the flesh of the earth. You're merging that way as well. Drinking pure water from a pure spring source, that's merging with the earth, merging with the water, merging with the gifts of the land. And I want to really encourage you to do this. Springtime in the northern hemisphere is autumn in the southern hemisphere, I believe. Yeah, I think so. And so in the southern hemisphere, like Peru or Brazil or Argentina or Africa or India, any of these countries that are even halfway below the equator and the other half above the equator, well, you go ahead and you merge with the season that you're experiencing right now. And with autumn or with fall, there's a letting go of scenes and scenarios that may no longer serve you. Letting go of your control, of your egoic control, trying to control the Kundalini, trying to control your phenomena, trying to control this, very Taoist mannerisms of non-surrender, very martial artists, it's like, oh, we'll never say die, we'll never surrender, no, Kundalini, don't do that. So yeah, it's, in the fall, you're letting go, you're moving into wintertime, you're moving into the great sleep, and you want to get ready for the great sleep. That's why, we have so many of the creatures in the northern hemisphere that will hibernate. The bears will hibernate. The squirrels will hibernate. The chipmunks will hibernate. The snakes will hibernate. And they hibernate because it's that little sleep. It's that little death that allows them to live their cycle and to wake up in the spring, which is where we are right now in the West Coast, North America. Very important for you to get outside. Go camping. Go to the beach. Go to the mountains. Go and sit, do a Vipassana. Do your own little Kundalini Vipassana retreat and meditate for some hours next to a flowing stream and feel the flow of that stream flowing from the base of your spine out the top of your head and fountaining down around you. I mean, get out into the nature, get out into the sunshine, get out into the moonshine and the starshine, and try not to sequester yourself up in the house like I'm doing right now, because I'm doing this interview. But as soon as I finish this interview, I'm going straight outside, folks. I'm going to walk that talk. But before I continue with the talk, I'm going to introduce somebody who is very, very helpful to this program and to all the different groups. This person is an extensive writer. She's an extensive healer. She does a lot of work with cancer patients. She does a lot of work with anybody that has an issue that they can come to her and they can receive some healing of their issues. And so I would like to introduce Santara. Hello, Santara. Hello. Oh my gosh. I wonder what's happened to Santara.
No, I'm here.
Did I interrupt anything? I'm sorry. Is everything all right?
Go there.
Should I give you some time?
No.
Do you need a few minutes?
Hi. No.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. I really love the Wednesday gathering, Chrism, of everybody. We have people in the chat room, which I'm delighted to say I have in front of me. I don't always have it, but John has given me his computer. So hello to everybody in the chat room. It's good to see you. But I love the fact that people are in the chat room, people are listening on their phones, people are here in the studio, all around the world, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, in spring and autumn, all at the same time. So it's really good to be here with you all and with you, Chrism. Will I take this opportunity to do what I do every week?
Yes, ma'am.
I make an announcement. Okay. So unless you're a brand new listener to the show, you know at this stage that, Chrism works on a donation basis. So for those of you listening who would like to make a donation, I'm going to give you the address that you can donate to online. And it's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. And it's very easy to donate from there. Now, maybe you would rather not donate online and you might like to donate through Western Union. And if you would like to do that, just pop me a message because I can give you details of Chrism's real and full name, his passport name, because he'd have to bring ID and that. So if you'd like to donate in that manner, and some people prefer to do that.
I can give that to you right now. It's Chris Mitchell, Mitchell. That's the only name that's required here in the States.
Oh, is it? Okay, you don't need the three names. Okay, cool. So Chris Mitchell, that's all you need. And so you do not need to write to me then on kundalinimatters@gmail.com. So again, I'll give you the online place that you can go to. It's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. End of my announcements, Chrism.
Say again, I'm sorry?
That's the end of my announcement.
Well, before you go,
okay.
I just want to recognize you for all the work that you do on the groups and all the work that you do for Irish society in your country. I think you're a great example of Kundalini service and kindness in action, and I want to honor you for that, and I want to honor you for being a great example of a Kundalini awakened person that is reaching out to help other people. So thank you.
Thank you, Chrism, and thanks for your support and teachings that enable me to, do some of the things that I'm doing. Thank you, too.
Well, yeah, of course. And so as we move deeper into the show now, Santara, have you been able to get out and walk barefoot?
I was not this week, Chrism. It's been a hectic week, but I'm going to be there at the weekend, barefoot on the beach.
Oh, you can be on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it. I can feel, I'm living in the city, but I can feel the spring coming. I'm looking at the trees, not as warm as it is where you are, but there is a definite shift, and it's beginning to come into spring. And the beautiful daffodils, and it's just different. It's moving into that beautiful time. And I agree with you. The prana is different. It's stronger. I was out the other night at dusk, and actually I think it was quite strong. So that would explain it, what you were saying earlier about the increase. I hadn't known or thought of that before,
Well, in Santa Rosa, in Celsius, it's 33 degrees right now.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we might be skipping spring and going straight into summer. But that also
cool.
that also means a tremendous amount of snowmelt is going to occur. So this could cause some flooding in some of the mountain areas as well. But yeah. You step outside right now, and spring is in the air. The flowers are blossoming. As I said before, the birds are collecting material for their nests. The animals are looking at each other, and that includes human beings. The human beings are also looking at each other and kind of feeling the gravity of the springtime energy pull them together. And for those of you that are Kundalini awakened, you'll feel this too. You'll feel this, but you may feel it even stronger. Don't let it drive your illusions of control. Let your love drive your energy. Let your respect for Kundalini drive your energy. Let your surrender to the Kundalini process within you drive your energy. Because not only do you have the Kundalini now that is with you 24/7, but now you've got the springtime prana in the air as well. And when that mixes with the Kundalini, it's a very, very strong surge of energy that you can participate with. It's not all about, as I mentioned earlier, it's not all about sex. It's not all about these types of things. It's not all about replication of the species. It's also about replication of the energy itself. It's about the implantation, the pregnancy of the energy, of the consciousness of the divine that is throughout all areas of your body, throughout all areas of your spine. And it's really important for you to let the ego drop away. You don't kill it. You're never going to get rid of it, but you're going to let it drop away from its level of control within you. You're going to let the ego drop away from its level of control within you, even though you're surrounded by a society that lives from the ego, even though by living in this society that's controlled by ego, you're given the wrong, should I say the word wrong? You're being given a challenging example of what not to do all the time. The people yelling at each other across the buildings, or people honking their horns, or flipping each other off, or fighting each other, or killing each other, or wounding each other, or dominating each other in some negative way. You're surrounded with this energy, this miasma, which is a collected energy field like over a city. So, for instance, if you're in Los Angeles, a lot of people come to Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Venice, Bel Air, things of that, these types of communities, and they're all there to try to break into the entertainment industry, and so this miasma of survival, of need, of desire, of want, of gain, and fear, of loss permeates the entire area. And a person who is sensitive to energy can really, really, really feel that. And this will go with any city and whatever large industry is involved in keeping that city afloat, like the entertainment system is to the LA basin. And so it's really important for you to tie in to the energies that are helpful to you. And this would be the early spring prana. Breathe that in. Let that soak into you from the outside in and from the inside out. Really begin to tie into it. If you can get out into nature in your natural state without anybody seeing you, without anybody knowing that you're doing that, do it. And just lay down, take some sun, just feel yourself natural in nature and let the Kundalini blossom within you as you honor the Kundalini, as you honor the natural person that you are. Get out there in the sun. If you're inside of the Kundalini and you're having certain challenges like, oh my gosh, do I surrender to this that the Kundalini is asking me to do? I mean, this is so difficult. How do I surrender to this? Go outside, breathe the air a little bit, get the energy going, stay positive, stay as much as you can in that surrendered state, and then go back in and surrender to that aspect of the Kundalini. Surrender to it. It doesn't matter how strong the challenges that you face are. What matters is that your strength of surrender overcomes that challenge. You can overcome that challenge extremely, extremely easy when it comes to your surrender, because basically the only thing that's going to be blocking you are your ego or entities, or both. And those are just no match for the power of your surrender. And so you just really need to kick down and surrender to the equation within you that the Kundalini is presenting to you. And this goes across the board. I don't care if you've had this for 1 year or less than 1 year, or if you've had it for 50 years. Every single day there is a certain amount of surrender to the Kundalini that will occur. It must occur. It's part of the deal. Now, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make, the guest call-in number is area code 347 in the United States, and the prefix is 934-0026, area code 347-934-0026. And so feel free to call in and ask a question. If you have any question about any aspect of your Kundalini, including the subjects that we're talking about, but it doesn't have to be the subjects that we're talking about, feel free to call in, and Santara will pick up the phone and she'll ask your name and whether or not you're going to spam the show. She'll ask you a few questions. And then she'll alert me that you're there. So yeah, feel free to call in. Now as you're here in the springtime, this is a very, very vibrant time. I just finished the vernal equinox, and the Shaktipat, and that seemed to go well. On the heels of that Shaktipat, I want those of you who are listening to me right now to feel the energy in the voice coming into you. Feel the energy and the intention and the Kundalini coming from me through my voice into your ear. Into your ear, to your eustachian tube and the eardrum, and then straight in to the brain. Feel it. Open to it. Surrender yourself to this grace that is coming to you, that you're listening to right now. Let the voice serve you. And then you begin to serve the source of that voice, the Kundalini within you. Within you. Okay. Breathe deep. Go outside. Even if it's nighttime. I mean, if Santara wasn't on the show, I'd say, hey, Santara, get out there, get on your balcony, or, open the door, whatever. Go outside, especially if it's raining and howling and storming like crazy. Go outside and enjoy that air, that storm. Yeah, Satara knows that I'm not kidding about that. Yeah, get outside. Get into the weather. Get into the environment. For so often, humans in the Western world sequester themselves in the house, in the apartment, in the flat, in the trailer, in the abode, however that is demonstrated. People sequester themselves away from the environment, away from the insects, away from the animals, away from the particulate, the energetic particulate in the air outside, and they pretty much live a great portion of their life indoors without the benefit of the natural environment reaching them to the degree that I think the Kundalini would really appreciate it. Open those windows. Open that door. Get some fresh spring prana-infused air into your household. Feel your energetic uplift occur. Don't be in so much denial. I mean, in the Western world, we can be so depressed and in so much denial, especially with Kundalini and the difficult Kundalini practices that the Kundalini will force upon you. And so, and so you begin to build up this energetic defense mechanism against surrendering yourself to the Kundalini, against promoting your process, against being in agreement with what the divine has set in motion for you. And I want you to just take a look at that and stop that. Stop getting in your way. Don't let the ego or the entities or your own laziness get in the way of you surrendering completely to the Kundalini that it's expressing yourself through you. I know you've been given signs and symptoms. I know you've been given information. I know you've been given downloads for many of you. Not all of you, but many of you. And so I know that even though you've received some of these great gifts that nobody else in the population really, except for Kundalini people, are receiving, it's kind of like the attitude of, what have you done for me lately, Kundalini? What have you done? The Janet Jackson song, what have you done for me lately, right? And you're thinking, well, yeah, okay, I had some out-of-body experiences, and yeah, okay, I was breathing underwater in the ocean without scuba gear. Yeah, okay, I felt myself lifting off of the couch and floating across the living room. Yeah, well, that's fine, but, what have you done for me lately, Kundalini? There's got to be a level of appreciation and a level of memory that causes you to be appreciative when phenomena is not currently, expressing through you. You've got to have appreciation for the Kundalini all the time, whether or not you're receiving a bell or a whistle or a phenomena that is fantastic. And by having that attitude, by serving that attitude, you're surrendering to the Kundalini 24/7 instead of just when, an interesting phenomena shows up. Okay. Kundalini in the body is kind of like springtime in the body. It's like springtime in the spine. Let yourself really, really feel, what is occurring for you. Let yourself really feel it. Let yourself be with it. Let yourself grow with it. Do not in any way allow yourself to fall into, a level of disrespect for the Kundalini or resistance to the Kundalini, things of that nature. Do not allow that to occur. Okay, that's just kind of going backwards. You don't need to go backwards in order to accept the Kundalini within your life. Now, sometimes people want to go backwards. They go, "Oh, Chrism, it's so hard. It's so difficult. It's so backbreaking. It's so difficult to not allow my ego to control every aspect of what I do, think, feel, or interact with. I'm surrounded by egos, and I see them doing all these things, and it's just not fair. Not fair, Chrism. How come I have to do all this work and these other people, they can just live by their ego? What's up with that? Master Chrism. I always get the big, the parentheses around the master part, when the difficulty gets going. Just a second here. All right, took care of that, I hope. So the thing is, don't get in your own way. Don't complain from laziness. Don't complain because it seems like the challenges are so strong. Go out, breathe the air, energize yourself with this beautiful early spring prana, and allow that prana to work with you and for you. Let it work with you and for you. And surrender yourself completely to the Kundalini. Now, many of you already know how difficult the Kundalini can be. How unrelenting the Kundalini can be. How in your face and all the time in your face the Kundalini can be. Don't resist that. Don't, try to cover up your face with your hands. Don't. I don't want to see you right now, Kundalini. Give yourself to the Kundalini. Give yourself completely. Give yourself to the Kundalini and the information that it's putting you through. Give yourself to the practices that the Kundalini has given you into. If it's, I don't care how difficult it is. I don't care how antisocial it is. I know that a lot of the Kundalini instruction is anti-society. It's forbidden instruction. Forbidden instructions. You're not supposed to do what the Kundalini wants you to do. Society does not accept it. And so, if you do your Kundalini practice or you obey the Kundalini, you must be very, very discerning about where you do that. Because if people see you doing, like being natural in nature, let's just go there. That is very, very anti-society. Unless you belong to one of those natural colonies, which I don't recommend because that's just really all about, merging. But to be natural in nature is not acceptable. And you can, in the United States, you can be arrested and put in jail for that and into a psych ward because, oh my God, only a crazy person would want to be natural in nature. Oh my God. Okay, and so we know that Kundalini is very, very, very strong in its direction for you, and that those directions may not be agreeable with the society that you live in. And I'm saying do it anyway. Just do it away from the prying eyes of those who might be disturbed by what you're doing, or in a way that doesn't attract their attention. So, for instance, if you practice the safeties, you're doing the 5 Tibetans. Well, when I was doing my safeties practice, I was doing it 5 times a day. Okay, the 5 Tibetans, the pranayama, the meditation, the prayer, the devotion, all of it, right? And because I was on the job as I was doing it, I would have to kind of go to a park or some sort of a public setting where I could spread out the blanket and I could begin the 5 Tibetans. Well, people look at you like you're nuts when you're spinning to the right 21 times. People aren't used to seeing a spiritual practice. They're not used to seeing people meditate. If you meditate in the park, you're going to attract stares. This is in the United States, okay? I don't know how it is maybe in India or other, say, more spiritually oriented societies. Person meditating in the park would not be a big deal. But here in the Western United States in Santa Rosa, it's a big deal because, my gosh, you're only supposed to do that inside your house or in a church. And what are you doing sitting under a tree doing that? And so they get up in arms about this because it's so outside of what their comfort zones allow them to enjoy. And so do it anyway. Don't do it to the point where you're going to get in trouble, like being natural in nature in the city. Don't do that. But regardless of how she's instructing you, regardless of what levels of teaching that she's giving to you, you must do these teachings. You don't necessarily have to do them in public. Public's not always ready for Kundalini-style phenomena. Matter of fact, it scares them. If you start telling them that you hear and see entities that they don't hear or see, they think you're crazy. You start to scare them, and it goes downhill from there, or uphill. Okay, so be very, very, very aware of what the Kundalini is asking you to do, and then just do it. And at the same time that you're aware of what she's asking you to do, be aware of where you can do this in a way that doesn't put you in harm's way. And yes, I understand how difficult Kundalini can be, and how antisocial and politically incorrect and all of these things that some of these practices would be for those that don't have the Kundalini, for those that don't understand what the Kundalini is about. It can be very, very, very difficult. But you must persevere. And it is totally unfair, my friends. Kundalini is about as unfair as it's going to get, because you'll have it and your spouse won't. Or your kid will have it, but the parents won't. You'll have it, but those around you will not have it. And those in society will not have it. And so they don't have to go through all the ego clearing, ego testing, and ego realignment that you're going to have to go through, which means it's not fair. It's not fair, my friends. And it never will be. Because not everybody is going to be activated in this world at the same time. This whole oneness thing, where they say, oh, we're all one. We're just going to activate everybody all at the same time. It is so, and I know, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on anybody's toes, but in a sense I mean to. Because you need to wake up from these little fantasy games that the New Age movement, will play on you. Not everybody's going to awaken at the same time, because not everybody's going to meet their karma at the same time. Certain amounts of people will activate their Kundalini in 2016, which brings them on the path, and they begin to go through the many different teachings that the Kundalini has and the transformation that the Kundalini has. Well, those who are going to activate 5 years from now will not be part of that equation until 5 years from now. So not everybody is going to activate or ascend at the same time. And this idea that it all has to happen at once is just taking out the courage that we have to manifest by having the Kundalini alone or with very limited people around us. And let's see what Santara has to say about this. What do you have to say about this, Santara? Oh, did I interrupt anything? I'm sorry.
No, you did not. I was writing something down, actually.
Okay.
But I had. So I was a little bit distracted. So if you ask me a specific question, Chrism, I can answer it.
Right. Okay. Do you prefer
very well.
Do you prefer pineapple juice or pina colada in your Mai Tai mix?
1 second, Chrism. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you.
Okay. No worries, my dear. No worries. Let's go to Rosemary. What do you think about all this unfairness, Rosemary?
I'm downstairs and my other phone is upstairs, so I'm just grabbing this. So tell me the question again. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I'm going to put you in the blue. Let's see. Maybe I don't think any of my call-ins are listening here. Brooke, are you listening? No.
I'm listening again. I've got you back, Chrism.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right then.
Okay, so the question was, go on, something about unfairness, is it?
Yes. What do you think of the whole idea of a lack of parity with the Kundalini? It's not about Mai Tais.
Oh, okay. Well, you mean saying it's not fair what I have to go through because it's Kundalini?
Right.
Well, I certainly would have had feelings like that. I mean, sometimes it can be really hard. And definitely my ego would have said, it's not fair. It's just not fair. Why do I have to go through this, you know? I mean, there are times when I remember when it was really difficult and I would have been searching. My ego would have wanted to be normal. You know, even during times when, you know, I was detached from people or I was feeling different things or there was a really strong surrender called for. And that's the moment between, you know, choosing to surrender when the ego is going, oh, this isn't fair, because the ego was telling me, you don't really have to surrender. I mean, when things are unfair, it's okay to say no. So that would have been part of the process, I think. But, I mean, at this stage, even when things are hard, it being unfair doesn't really come into it so much for me anymore, because I appreciate deeply, Chrism, the wonderfulness of the hardness, if you know what I mean, of the challenges, you know, because I've been through a lot of them. And so I know now that when a new one comes up, that once I surrender and once I listen to the Kundalini and I do my best to surrender, well then it passes, and it's amazing, you know, what occurs once I surrender. So I don't even go to the unfairness thing. It's not part of my equation anymore.
Oh,
not really.
No, that's good. That's good. Now, looks like we might have a caller down there on the bottom there if you have a look.
I go check. Yeah, we go check.
So, yeah, you know, this is so not fair. And you're going to have to give and give and give and give, and the person standing right in front of you is not going to have to do a darn thing. And you're sweating bullets, and you're giving, and you know you're reaching into the Kundalini, and you're working very, 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 very hard. And the person standing behind you or on either side of you doesn't have to lift a finger. That's not fair, folks, and it's just not going to be fair. It will never be fair. Please do not expect the Kundalini to be fair with you. It's never fair. It's never fair, and it's not always gentle and polite either. I got to add that in. I mean, if the Kundalini in you or in your teacher or in, you know, somebody around you that is helping you with the Kundalini starts coming off very, very harshly with you, that's also an aspect of the energy that is not fair, because now you're having to hear it from a flesh individual, and it's different hearing it internally from the Kundalini and then hearing it from a flesh teacher or flesh person. It brings it into a level of real time that having it just kind of download into your head it's not the same. It's not the same. And so as you listen in, you know, to the person saying, hey, I need you to remember this, I need you to get organized here, I need you to do this, this or that, and they say it in a very, very strong voice, well, you know, you got to listen to that, especially if it's a teacher, if it's somebody that's helping you with the Kundalini. Well, you got to really listen to that, and you've got to pay attention to that, and you've got to do what is being asked of you to do, and no, it is not fair, and it never will be. Just like the people that are activating now in 2016 as opposed to the people that are activating in 2021, the people that are activating in 2021, there's 5 years less of an experience with the Kundalini. They are infants compared to the people that are activating today, who are infants compared to the people that have activated 5 years ago or 26 years ago. You have to pay attention to those that have come before you. You have to pay attention to the teacher the Kundalini has given you to. Whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, doesn't matter. You have to pay attention to it. And it is not fair. It is not fair. And please don't expect fairness to be given from the Kundalini to you in a way that suits your ego, because she doesn't really care about suiting your ego. That's not a real top priority for the sacred feminine Kundalini Shakti. Okay? So this is important for you to know. And it looks like Rosemary has a question, so I'm going to go ahead and bring her over. Yes, Rosemary, hello.
Thank you. I'm sorry for being distracted for a few minutes there, but I was listening to the rest. And as I listened to Amelia, I don't have a sense
It's just not fair that you were distracted, Rosemary.
No, but I'm saying
fair.
about Kundalini's generosity.
There is no parity there.
I don't have a sense of I'm being cheated or something, or somebody has something else.
Good.
I know, to me, this is all a gift, every bit of it. And maybe because I'm older and spent more time trying to find something or earn something, that I see it's not about that at all. And every bit of what I have received and will continue to receive, I am sure, is a generous, loving Kundalini, and I'm grateful. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you, dear Rosemary. Go ahead and make your announcement. You have an announcement to make as well.
Oh, I do, and I was urgently touching something that needed to be taken care of there. We have a seminar coming in July, 9 and 10, and it's at a glorious, beautiful prairie. We will be there, but we have a meeting room, and there are also plugins for people who want to come and camp there and for the 2 days. I'm doing film screenings around the cities wherever people are open to that. And
what state and what country are you located in?
I'm sorry. The date is July 9th and 10th, and that's and we have also some rooms there in town.
Well, what state and what country?
I'm sorry. I'm a little arrogant about that. This is Minnesota. And my name is Rosemary Golias. My contact information is 651-452-3161. And my email is rosemaryg@usinternet.com. And people are listening here to this, Chrism. I got a phone call today from somebody out of state interested and may very well be here. So thank you all for listening to the information.
Well, thank you, Rosemary, for presenting the information, and thank you for also presenting that level of wisdom that you gave when you with age, often wisdom comes with age. Not all the time, but certainly with you it has. And parity inside of the Kundalini, like you said, it's all a gift, and even the hard parts are a gift. Even the difficult parts, when you're being pushed or you're being challenged, your comfort levels are being challenged, that too is a gift. And I'm going to go ahead and put you in the blue, dear Rosemary. Thank you, Rosemary. And there we go, in the blue. And so I want to invite anybody that's in the chat room right now to go ahead and write a question if you have a question. And I'm going to open it up, Santara, to the questions now.
Hello, Chrism.
Can you hear me all right?
Tap, tap. I can hear tap, tap, tap.
Can you hear me okay right now?
I can. So shall I begin?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the very first question came from the group, and it's a very short one. It says, "My mind never settles down. Can you help me?"
Well, that would be that would be what some of the Sanskriti people or the Hindu people would call the monkey mind. Monkey. The monkey mind is always going to be scattered and going from this to that, kind of like a butterfly going from flower to flower to flower, which would be commensurate with going from thought to thought to thought to thought. Oh, are the kids out of school yet? Oh, have I washed the car? Have I bought the groceries? Have I paid the phone bill? You know, these types of things, just going from thought to thought to thought. And what I'd recommend for a person going through that is mantra meditation, saying something like, I am at one with the all that I am, over and over, and focusing on the words, I am at one with the all that I am. I am at one with the all that I am. And you just say that over and over and over and over, and that mind will be stilled. It will be stilled to the degree that you can begin to open other areas of interaction from your Kundalini, from your spirit, from your higher self. This is obviously a person who is not really experiencing the Kundalini, but is more so wanting to get there in some way and wanting to correct their lack of focus within the meditation state. And so, just do the mantra meditation and follow the words. Another way you can do it is just follow the breath. As you inhale slowly through the nose, hold for a count to 6, and then exhale through the nose slowly. Back and forth you go, kind of get lost in the numbers if you need to. Pretty soon the numbers don't exist anymore, and you're just following the breath. And this is another way that a person can do it. Definitely another way. Next question.
Thank you, Chrism. Next question is not so much a question, it stems from a conversation on the group. And it seems that, there's some fear for people concerning pregnancy and Kundalini. So could you say something about that, please?
Well, Kundalini is a pregnancy. It's just Kundalini is a pregnancy at the base of your spine, really. And when it births itself into you, you're the baby. You're the infant. You may be walking around in a 60-year-old body, but you're the infant. You're the baby. You're the one who is being taught. Kundalini and mammalian pregnancy goes together just fine. You can go out now and breathe in this spring energy, run back into the house, take your spouse and just make that child and have the Kundalini full on within you, and it will not hurt the child. It will not hurt your pregnancy. You could go ahead and give the birth, and the birthing process itself is a very common vector of Kundalini activation, so do not worry. I know. This flies in the face of the teachings that are controlled mostly by men who have never been pregnant in their life, and by the male-dominated systems of religious and spiritual practice that corrupt the feminine processes all over the world. And I'm here to tell you, Kundalini is well aware of what needs to be done for a person that's pregnant, and it does not hurt or damage or incur any kind of a problem with a person who is pregnant, with a woman who is pregnant and having the Kundalini. She can have that baby, and that sacred mother will give to her all of the knowledge she needs to have in order to bond with that child and to raise that child and to raise that child and herself within the environment, the spiritual environment of a Kundalini awakened mother. This is all good. This is a very, very, very good thing. So know this, and do not allow a group of men who've never given birth to say, oh, well, you shouldn't get pregnant with the Kundalini. They don't know. You go with the women who have given birth and that have the Kundalini. You go with them because they know from authentic experience This is where I get my knowledge straight from the Sacred Mother. And she is not in any way going to impede a person's birth process unless there's some sort of a karmic event that needs to occur. She's not going to impede the birth process for that mother that is becoming Kundalini activated or awakened, and the child that is being brought into this world. And I'm going to ask Centaura, can you relate to that at all?
Absolutely, Chrism. I didn't give birth after my awakening, but I certainly did during my activation phase. But recently, I know quite a few women on the groups and personally that are pregnant, and everything you say is true. And I love that you're so passionate about it and that you're so definite about it, because people, when they become pregnant, listen to other people. And you're right, it's often men, and it's often men coming from, let's say, certain traditions. And so it's really important to know that the Kundalini knows you're pregnant. You're too, because of the Kundalini. If the Kundalini didn't want you pregnant, you wouldn't be. And so, just be full of confidence that it'll go wonderfully well. You will not be harmed, and the baby will not be harmed. And there's quite a few people on our group that have had babies recently. There's one lady now at the moment, and she's due any day. And I feel, maybe when she's had her baby, she might write a little bit about it as well. So, Chrism, thank you for that, because I think it needs to be said, and said with great positivity.
It's that whole male-dominated hierarchical scenario as well. Yeah. It's just like, oh my gosh, we know everything because we're men, and we know all about women and the birth process. We know everything, and you just have to do what we tell you to do because we know everything, and they just don't know as much as they think they know, and they certainly don't know about the Kundalini if they're telling people not to be pregnant while they have the Kundalini. Because I got news for you, men. When the Kundalini comes up in a person, it never goes away. So you're telling that woman that she can never have a child, she can never be pregnant because the Kundalini came up. And this is such a load of malarkey, and I'm only saying that because I have stronger words that I would use, but I'm on the radio right now.
It makes me mad, I have to say,
It's such a load. And all of this stuff that these male-dominated societies do, these Sanatana people, these people that think that the old ways are the best ways simply because they don't recognize the level of prejudice against the feminine, the sacred feminine, that those old people, those old societies carried over into the new society. Let's bury a woman up to her shoulders in the sand and stone her to death because some ancient tribe decided that, if she looked at a man that way, therefore she's a prostitute, therefore she needs to be killed. This stuff does not need to occur anymore. Does not need to occur anymore. Probably didn't need to occur then either.
And there's a lot, and it's conditioning that's passed really, isn't it, from one generation to the next, and that's why it needs a man to say what you just said, but it needs women who are Kundalini awakened, their Kundalini is awakened, to come and speak about the fact that they had not that experience that they were told might occur, and talk about how their experience was, and educate some of the men who, are just blinded by their conditioning and just spew out the same old thing that they were taught. Like, if women come forward, absolutely, and their ego. I just think it's an important aspect of Kundalini awakening that isn't spoken about very often. There's such a huge amount of women that, in proportion to men, it's probably equal, I don't know, but there's definitely a lot of women that are awakening, and a lot of those women are going to become pregnant.
I'd say there are more women that are awakening than men at this time, only because...
Than men?
Yeah, only because I think that in the Western societies especially, male emotional awareness is not as advanced as the feminine emotional awareness. And it's the emotional body that will often respond very, very strongly to a Kundalini event. And until that emotional body gets behind them, it could be extremely deleterious for men who do not have emotional stability or emotional maturity to try to handle that type of an energetic onslaught. They would try to control it, and it wouldn't let them control it. And in trying to control it, they would take themselves to an MD, and an MD, not knowing anything about Kundalini, is just going to drug them into stupefaction, and then, you know, put them into a what do they call those straight jacket in a very comfortable padded room, and say, okay, have a nice life. Can you hear me?
A question arises. I can. The trouble is, I don't mind the clicking, but when I hear, you know, I don't think it's a good idea. Stop.
I'm stopping.
I have a question though that rises from what you've just said.
Sure.
Do you think that more men go into psych wards than women because of the emotional body response to the energetic onslaught, I think you called it?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think because of the emotions, the men will have a much harder time handling it, like crying. A man has a more difficult time crying than say a woman would have, because of that lack of being in touch with the emotional body. Now, I know I'm being opened up to generalizing here, and I don't want to generalize too much with this, but typically, not always, but typically, men will choke back that sobbing and just try to be stoic about whatever is giving them this great emotional response, rather than letting the tears come, letting the tears flow, and allowing those tears to form a kind of healing and balancing for the individual. And so, yeah, men will have a much greater degree in the Western societies, a much greater degree of difficulty with this. And the Kundalini knows this. And so if that man is to be activated by the Kundalini, maybe she won't hit them so hard in the emotional areas at first. Maybe she'll just hit them a little harder in the phenomena-based areas first, and she can, gives her time to begin to give a healing to that man's fear of expressing himself emotionally. Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, you've got to remember, Kundalini's really smart, and she knows that those men she's going to activate in, they need more time for more conditioning. And so that's what she does with it. And I'm good with it. But I think as far as being admitted to psych wards in the West, I would say yes. In the Western societies, I would say yes. But I know plenty of women do. I would have to say it's probably slightly more men than women. But they, the men also have a problem with self-admitting anywhere. Men are more likely to just struggle with it. They're just going to bite the bullet and just try to deal with it and let that come out in their actions or their driving or their drinking. Right? They let that emotional expression come through in ways that perhaps aren't as healthy as say how a woman may do it, would just be to break down and cry for 5 minutes and then go on with her life.
Okay. Okay.
Did
Yeah. Cry for 5 minutes? No.
Maybe not. Yeah. Now I got to say, C.L. Morgan has written on the chat group. He says, "Not a question, but thanks for being great resource for those who have already had a spinal sweep." And I just want to acknowledge your thankfulness and your gratitude, and really, C.L. Morgan, I would just ask you to look in the mirror without sunglasses on. Look in the mirror and thank the Shakti in you. Thank her in you, because that her in you is also that her in me, and in Amelia, and Rosemary, and Joey, and Mary Jean, and Lana Seeker, and Phil Karuba, and Vincent 91. Phil, who is just like continuously typing, and we never see what he's typing. Yes. So yeah, thank you, C.L. Morgan, for saying that. And go ahead. Next question, dear Santara.
Actually, Chrism, before I go on, you know what you just said there to Morgan about looking in the mirror and thanking the Kundalini in him. That's a wonderful thing to do, isn't it? I mean, for everybody as an exercise to actually, or is it, to look in the mirror and to look into your own eyes. Yeah,
and
will you speak about that? Because
look right into the iris. Look into the pupil and the iris, and look right into your own soul and say, thank you, Kundalini in me. And do it 3 times, because that whole Trinity thing that the Kundalini just loves. Do it 3 times. Any of you, all of you.
Yeah, that's
Daily.
Okay, thanks, Chrism. So the next one is a dream. So it's not very long, but I want to read it because it brings up a few things. It's a dream that this person had at 2 a.m. Okay, we were roaming around in the jungle. I heard a roar. I was told there must be a lion nearby. The tiger was very, very next to us, and then came out of the bushes next to my daughter. I asked her to stay calm. The tiger passed by her and the other person as well and came to me and attacked my legs twice. The 2 times I pulled away my legs, thinking the tiger is attacking me. Then we came back from someplace into a market area, and I saw that people had killed the tiger. A lady talked about the tiger attacking and its killing. So now the question is, I'm not able to understand why we consider the tiger as a Kundalini animal. I know that I moved my legs out of fear, but why was it killed? In her dream, she means. Why was it killed?
Why was the
3
tiger
questions.
Why was the tiger killed?
Why was the tiger killed in her dream? Like, what was the significance of the tiger being killed in her dream? And she has a bit of difficulty understanding about the tiger being the Kundalini animal. And she knows she moved her legs out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the tiger is one of the main Kundalini creatures, like the spider is as well. Okay. So the scenario is with the tiger. The tiger is a top of the predator pyramid creature. It is top of the pyramid, just like the Kundalini is top of the spiritual pyramid for a human being. And so the tiger, any top of the pyramid predator, tiger, killer whale, eagle, lion, wolf. I mean, these types of animals are going to be represented by the Kundalini. The spider, Laranya, is represented by the Kundalini. And so it's very, very important for people to understand this. And repeatedly, with Kundalini activated or awakened people, tigers will represent sacred feminine Shakti, will represent sacred feminine Mother Nature. Tigers will, snakes will, spiders will, wolves will. I mean, these top echelon predators will represent sacred Kundalini because it is also top of the echelon in the spiritual context. It is that top that there is no, everything stops there and goes into a different dimension after you have the Kundalini come to you. Now, why it attacked her legs? Well, it attacked her legs because it's coming for her legs. She probably has, a sore left big toe. She's probably feeling the energy in her legs much more. And we don't have her here to talk to her about that. But yeah, it attacks her legs. The first red triangle emanates from the soles of each foot all the way to the base, the last 3 vertebrae of the tailbone. That is the red triangle. And it's red because it's Shakti red. Sacred feminine's color is the deep, dark, beautiful ruby red. And this is what is happening with that woman now. And to see society kills Kundalini, or tries to.
Okay.
Society and their misinterpretation of Kundalini will try to kill the Kundalini in a person's body. They'll give them drugs, or they'll lock them into a psych ward, or in some way they're going to do anything and everything they can do to deny Kundalini its expression through that individual. That is the symbol of the tiger being killed by society.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. And even a little bit like what you were saying earlier as well, you know, about society being so anti. Yeah. Cool. That's excellent. There's a question there. Can you see it?
I can see Phil Karuba, right? He says, why is Jesus always associated with forgiveness while other religious figures, such as Moses, didn't forgive their persecutors? I, too, am having a big problem with forgiveness. Why is forgiveness necessary? Forgiveness is necessary because it keeps you from holding a grudge. A grudge is like a being stabbed in the heart continuously. And so we use forgiveness as a way to heal the heart and to heal and lighten the load that the fourth chakra has to carry. We forgive those who give us a problem or who hurt us in some way, because our grudge, our need for revenge, really only hurts us. Doesn't hurt the person that gave you the problem. And even if it did, it is still more of a problem for you than it is for them. And so forgiveness is necessary to bring balance, and the gift of grace, grace-based forgiveness is grace-based love. And you give that love into almost every equation that life presents you with. Forgiveness being a main one for those in our society that will come after you with a problem. Now, why is Jesus associated with forgiveness? Because that was part of the teaching that was being given, you know, with regards to the Christ figure. Moses isn't exactly a religious figure. Moses was more of a person that was having phenomena rather than creating phenomena. Christ was more creating phenomena. Therefore, Christ was at a different level of spiritual awareness and spiritual understanding than Moses would have been in. Yes, Moses threw down his staff and it turned into a snake, but he didn't do it. Divinity did that for him. And sometimes in order to make a correction for a group of people, you have to be angry with them. It doesn't mean you don't forgive them. It just means that you got to be angry to get their attention. So when the Jewish people went against the engraved stones that the burning bush had engraved, like an angry parent, Moses would have had to be angry with them for a while. Or the Egyptians, for that matter. For the Egyptians. You know, how long do you let people do something wrong about you and you forgive them? Until, I'm going to put you in the blue there, Amelia. How long do you let a person or people antagonize you before you take corrective measures? Well, you take corrective measures based upon what the divine tells you from a Kundalini standpoint. Kundalini doesn't always think that you have to be around vexatious people. To a certain degree, you do, because this teaches you to forgive and this teaches you not to hold a grudge. But once you pretty much got that down, you don't need to spend time around vexatious people. Now, Phil, it sounds to me like you're going straight from the Bible with this. And the Bible is not really a fair document to, I mean, it can be made that way. You can look at it and you can go into certain perceptions about the Bible that it will allow you to understand that everything that occurred in the Bible, which is kind of a violent book, but everything that occurred in the Bible had a Kundalini a meaning to it. You can see that. You can go through that. Even the King James Version, the KJV, you can go through that and you can find Kundalini contrails throughout all of the teachings that happen in the KJV. But you have to expand yourself to be able to see that. Forgiveness is absolutely necessary. And your fellow man needs to be forgiven by you. You are helping them by forgiving, but you're helping yourself too. It's a win-win scenario. When you forgive that person that is causing you problems, you're also forgiving yourself for causing other people problems. This is why forgiveness is so very, very, very important within the Kundalini continuum. You must be forgiving. And if you're not, the Kundalini is just going to keep smacking you on the side of the head saying, forgive. And she'll keep giving you reasons to forgive, i.e., putting you in front of people that are causing you a problem, which is causing you a reason to forgive them. It will keep coming up, I guarantee you. And C.L. Morgan is also typing, and I'll be interested to see what Mr. Morgan has to say about this as well. And bringing you right back into the red, dear Santara, hello.
Hello. I'm smiling at my noise getting me in the blue, clicking the whole time.
Well, there was sound coming through, and I wanted to take care of that. So.
Okay. Now, it's very interesting. The next question, Chrism, is related to what you've just been speaking of. It wasn't on the groups, so I'll read it to you. It says, my childhood was very difficult. I was abused emotionally and often physically punished. Then when I was in my 20s, I left my country and haven't returned for 10 years. I married, have 2 children, and now my parents want to come and visit me and meet their grandchildren. So from a distance, I have forgiven them, but I haven't forgotten. And I don't want my children exposed to them, and I really don't want them to come. Can I say no and still say I have forgiven them?
Well, I mean, the question really is,
question.
Have you truly forgiven them if you're not willing to say it to their face? Have they maybe changed the way they are? Can you have them visit the children without them being alone with the children? You see, there are many permutations that a person can initiate inside of that type of a scenario. If the person was abused by the parents, I would definitely take that in consideration. I wouldn't let them be alone with the children, not with that kind of a history. And it doesn't mean that you're protecting the children from them so much, but you're protecting them from themselves, from creating more karma. Now, because you're a Kundalini awakened person, whoever this person is, your parents had to give you a certain level of abuse so that you could come into the Kundalini, so that you could balance that karma, that level of karma in your life, so that later on the Kundalini could be awakened. But they don't necessarily know that, the parents. They're just being abusive. They don't know that they're being guided by an unseen force to be abusive, i.e. the Kundalini. So I would take steps to make sure that the kids aren't left alone with the grandparents. I would let the grandparents see them. I would forgive the grandparents to their face to let them know that you have not forgotten how they treated you, and that you know and you remember, and therefore through that knowledge and that memory, you're not going to let them do that to the grandkids. Hello? If the Shakti wants to activate in the grandkids, she can do it. She'll just do it from your presence. But maybe those kids don't have the karmic burden that you had. And so therefore, they don't have to be activated in such a way. But a lot of people have the hard childhood. I had the hard childhood. I had the abuse too. Not everybody's, little Miss Princess of the Pea like Santara, Never had a problem in her life.
Yeah.
Like everything's just perfect.
I haven't the worst childhood, actually. On so many levels it was quite good, but on other levels it was
same with me. I'm very thankful for all of the challenges that I had to have when I was a kid, when I was a younger person, 20s, teens and 20s. I'm very thankful for all the challenges that I had, because it brought me into the energetics that I have now, and so. God bless the Kundalini, because she knows so much more about us than we know of ourselves, because of the karmic knowledge, just for one aspect of it. The karmic knowledge that Kundalini has for her Kundalini children is immense. And this person that was abused by her parents needed to be abused by her parents so that she could reach that level of high spiritual evolution that we understand as being Kundalini. Because it does burn the karma.
And I think
C.L. Morgan also, I don't know what IN apostrophe T means. I have no idea what that means.
Isn't. But, I think it's a spell error. Isn't.
Isn't. Forgiveness.
Or doesn't.
Yeah, well, I'll just say forgiveness helps karmic
forgiveness
cycles.
Helps.
Yeah, forgiveness does help karmic cycles. So, yeah, forgiveness does help the karmic cycles. As you forgive, so will you be forgiven. And
I also think what you said, Chrism, about, that it's karma, that karmic thing had to happen with the parents. I think it's really, really helpful when you come to know that information. Because I wouldn't have grown up with that information,
Especially after the abuse has stopped.
Well,
you gotta wonder. It's like, what was the point of all that? How come mom and dad were like that way to me? I mean, come on, what's going on with that? And then you have the Kundalini, and you begin to understand what karma actually is and how strong a karmic footprint can be on a person. I mean, that karmic footprint, can literally be over your throat. Over your throat, and she'll do it. Once a certain level of evolution has occurred within the soul, then she will step on your face and your throat with her karma redemption, and you will go into that, and you will not know why, because you cannot know why. That's part of the karma. You don't get to know why a certain thing is happening.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Okay. So there's a couple of sentences leading into the question. Yesterday, I was jogging and was feeling good in the crown, and when I started to run faster, then it felt like my crown will start to fly. So I was running faster, and it was a nice feeling. So my question is, why we need grounding why do we need grounding when someone can feel so good?
You need grounding for stability. You might look at Kundalini very much in the way that we look at electricity. When you have a good ground and you have a good positive, then you have a good flow of energy. And so, because you're running fast and the crown feels like it's raising higher and higher, that really has nothing to do with grounding at all. And it can feel good. It can feel good all the time, but grounding does not stop it from feeling good. If anything, grounding will help it feel even better. But the other thing you want to look at is you don't want to do things just based upon how the phenomenon is making you feel, because you'll be blinded by your ego every time, and you'll be going more for the pleasure and you'll be running from the pain or the discomfort. So you want to take levels of addiction to enjoyment out of the equation as much as possible. If you're running and the crown feels like it's flying, well, that's great. Do that, run that, and then sit down and ground next to a tree and feel that grace also. It's not all about just flying around. It's not all about just feeling good all the time. There's a whole diversity of emotional involvement that occurs with the Kundalini, and you need to experience all of it, not just some of the happy, joy moments. There's more to go, and there's more to come. And you need to be open to all of it, not just some of it. Next question.
Okay, thanks, Chrism. Can we just say a little bit more about that? I mean, you're saying that when a person, leaving aside the addiction to, or we say stalking, that feeling, so a person is feeling, say, their crown chakra. Why would they ground? Can you say a little bit more about that, how it feels even better to ground yourself?
Well, grounding yourself puts energetic roots into the earth, into the soil, which is what your body is composed of. Your bones, your blood, your teeth, your flesh, your hair, your skin, your nails, your eyes, everything is of the earth. And so when you put that huge network of roots into the ground, you're giving yourself a level of stability that can build the amount of energy that the crown chakra can put forth. And so you get a greater level of radiance from a strong ground than you do from a weak, non-existent ground. And that strong radiance is also a patterning towards strong Kundalini phenomena of all different kinds, of the good feeling kind and of the challenging kind, of all of it. Did that help?
Great. Yeah, it does. No, it really does, Chrism. To speak about the body, no, it does. I think that's excellent. I bet you that helps people. It's a great explanation. Thanks. The next question is from a Kundalini woman who has had heart surgery back in 2001 and 2007, and since then she has she takes medication, but her strength and energy is good at the moment, and so she is wondering if it's possible that her Kundalini could cure her totally. And she says, I know the power of mind, but I love my Kundalini more.
Well, good. That's a good attitude, actually. Yeah, the Kundalini can cure almost anything. It can cure anything. I mean, if the karmic equation for the individual allows that cure to happen, then there's nothing the Kundalini cannot cure. So yes, it can cure.
Okay, is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, so now this isn't a question, but it came from the group again. Maybe you could speak a little bit about, how would I phrase it? It was about the premature third eye activation. Somebody was asking about that, or I think you might have written about it. And what's the difference between a premature third eye activation and a third eye activation that isn't premature? What are the possible consequences of either?
Prematurity indicates somebody forcing it from the position of their ego, wants, and desires, rather than allowing it to happen naturally or through a spiritual practice that is allowing it to happen in a less forced manner. So that's that part of it. For prematurity, the third eye opens up, and you're able to see and experience a lot of shall we say, psychic phenomena that nobody else around you can really see or experience. And so you'll try to explain it to them, and it'll just frighten them. Or you'll be scared to death by the level of entity interaction, because most people that prematurely activate the sixth chakra, or the ajna, or what we call the third eye, have no idea about the rules of the road when it comes to walking in the second world. The terrestrial world with air and land and water and all of that is the first world. The spiritual world is what the Kundalini opens one up into. And that world nobody really knows how to walk in. And until you learn how to walk in that world, you're going to be at the mercy of the predators of that world. And this is what happens to a lot of people that are opening that third eye prematurely, is they become predated upon by the creation and the sentience of that world, unless of course they have some sort of protection thing going on, or things of that nature. very important for people not to push third eye opening. The only reason people push for the third eye opening really is so that they can have phenomena and they can like maybe have an edge over yes, I'm very psychic. My third eye is open now. Oh my God. Bow and worship to me. You know, that type of thing. You know, it's a very ego-oriented scenario. And this is not the most productive scenario in which to awaken any aspect of the body, whether it's the heart chakra, whether it's the ajna, you know, any part of the body. You don't awaken it through ego machinations. You awaken it through a recognition of divine within you and a nutritious support of the divine activation within you. Okay. These people that want to have the phenomena, well, then they just, you know, they've heard from somewhere, someone, it's like, well, if you do this with the third eye, then you'll activate the third eye, and then you'll be able to see all these things, and you will. And they'll be able to see you too. And they'll be able to interact with you too, because that's one of the cardinal rules of interacting in the second world, is that if your consciousness sees or recognizes another consciousness, well, it becomes an instant two-way street, a two-way contract. Which means that, you know, in some cases you can have a very, very deleterious experience because you don't know how to not acknowledge a person, because you're just going to use your five senses in the second world and not realizing that you have other senses to use. Ajna doesn't teach you that. Kundalini will teach you that. Your chakra isn't going to teach you anything. It's your Kundalini infusing that chakra that's going to teach you everything. A chakra is a manifestation of energy along the spine. Kundalini is a manifestation of divine consciousness. This is what will teach you how to walk in the second world. Not your need for phenomena or for being recognized or for, you know, whatever the egotistic ideal was that to activate that sixth chakra. Over.
Thank you. Next question. Why are migraines, I know that was really good. Thank you. Why are migraines associated with Kundalini?
Because people are forcing the third eye to be open.
Okay. But it's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the gifts of forcing the third eye is exceptional levels of migraine activity. You can't be around flashing lights, flashing colored lights. You don't want to be around certain types of, like, say they have those lights that go with the music. I forget what they call it. But it flashes with. You can't be around that either. Don't want to be around bright light flash, because that's going to trigger your migraine. And let me tell you, the migraines are headaches on steroids. I mean, and that does come from pushing and forcing the third eye to activate. You will get those migraines, typically. Not always, but typically. And a lot of people are going, well, I activated my third eye, and I'm just doing just fine. Well, I'll just bet that you didn't. I'll bet you either some entity or some aspect of yourself is imagining some sort of a phenomena that you're tying to your third eye opening, which maybe isn't. With the migraines, a lot of Kundalini people will have the migraines. The migraines will come, and a lot of that has to do with enforced energetic circulation in the cranium, inside the brain of the cranium. And this is, this is a common thing. This is a common ailment that does affect Kundalini awakened people. It is common. It is common for Kundalini awakened people to have a level of migraine activity. I did not have it at all, really. When my Kundalini came up, I mean, I just, for this physical body, not for the last life, but for this body, I did not have a single migraine because I'm pretty sure the Kundalini was going to come up no matter what. And my previous experiences with having awakened Kundalini textured this body enough so that I wouldn't have to have migraines. But for those that are having it for the first time ever, regardless of what life they're in, that migraine can come, and it's from the enforced circulation of light, expansion of light going through the very, very, very fragile membranes in the brain of the individual. And this, this is a big deal. That can cause you a lot of pain. And you just want to surrender to the Kundalini when this is occurring. Surrender. Stop any energetic generative activity that you may be doing, and just let that circulation of energy occur. Don't push it away. Don't try to heal it. Don't take an aspirin. Let yourself not go into any energetic generative process. No praying, no meditating, no recreational drugs, nothing. No hot spices, nothing. And you just let it be, let it calm down of its own. Ask the sacred Kundalini as you're having the migraine to tone down the pain of the migraine. And what that's doing is that's shrinking the level of radiance that's coming through those sensitive membranes in your brain. Over.
Thank you, Chris. This is from the group. Chrism, usually I am very calm, but for an hour I was an animal and my entire body was on fire. I am a bit confused and afraid. Please guide.
Were they outside breathing in the spring air?
I don't think so. But yeah, so that's the solution.
What is it being an animal? I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know. I think it means angry or wild or something. Yeah.
Well, I'd want
what's written.
I'd want more specifics. I think being an animal is a good thing. Getting in touch with your natural self in that way is a good thing. I would need to know what it is to be an animal. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay. We shall find out.
We shall.
I'll get back to you.
We shall indeed. Yes.
Okay. There's two questions that come up now that are again coming from the group. Can we go back into the past and change it?
Oh yeah.
And the future to see it. Can I go back and choose the best time to get born? This time of birth keeps much importance to Indian astrology. So they basically want to know can they go back? And the second part of the question would be like, what are the laws of karma?
Well, the laws of karma is that your karma gets to pick when you're going to be born and when you're not going to be born. You don't get to pick that as a consciousness. The laws of karma dictate that you will experience what you have given, but you'll experience it within the ignorance and the innocence of what you have given in another lifetime or another series of lifetimes. And so you don't get to choose when you're going to be born. Karma does that because everything is in a web that is being set for the individual to experience, such as the difficult childhood with abusive parents, such as, whatever levels of heartbreak that person gets to go through, such as what level of Kundalini activation they get to go through later on in life. Karma determines this, not your consciousness, not your ego. Your ego does not get to go back in time and decide, well, gosh, I didn't want to be born at this time. I want to be born on Christmas so I can get all those presents. No, you don't get to do that. Is it possible to go back in time? Yes. Is it possible to go forward in time? Yes. Is it possible to do it for the reasons stated? No. Over.
Thank you. The next question, can we awaken Kundalini energy by learning how to awaken Kundalini energy from a good master with different methods and techniques? It means we choose to awaken Kundalini. And like that, can Kundalini choose us too?
Well, Kundalini can definitely choose us. We don't necessarily definitely get to choose Kundalini. There's got to be a karmic dispensation for that. Over.
That was too quick. Okay.
That ties in with the last question.
Okay. Yeah, it does actually. It does. Yeah, I'm looking at my because I don't read them sequentially. It depends on what's been said. I have another one here, but I can't really figure what the question is, but I will read it. When I am about to sleep and close my eyes, after a few minutes or seconds, I opened my eyes and I ask, who am I? It's actually a feeling of asking, who am I? It's not a thought. So I have a feeling of who am I, and that comes.
So
now I know there's a question in there, but
after they close their eyes, they ask, who am I? So are they asking the I, who I is, that they've just closed?
Are we doing puns here? Well, I think when they close their eyes, they get...
Yeah.
Chrism?
Kundalini will get you. Kundalini will make you feel like...
I think they're surprised, aren't they? They're surprised by this, who am I? Because they didn't think it consciously. I think that's what they're saying. But
Kundalini can make a person feel like they don't know who they are. And so within that understanding, you don't know why you're where you are. You don't know why you're in the room. You don't know why you're living your life this way. You're totally and completely lost when it comes to how you fit into society, how you fit into your life, because you're not living your old life anymore. You're living this new life that constantly unfolds itself for you. And you're confused and quite frankly frightened about how this new life is unfolding. And, you're looking in the, you're thinking to yourself, well, who the heck am I today? How is this supposed to go? And you're looking around you and you're seeing egotistic examples all around you in society, and you're not supposed to go there, and yet, where are you supposed to go? This is where you listen to the Kundalini. This is where you listen to the teacher the Kundalini sent you. This is where you look for information, where you educate yourself, and not just through acquisition of knowledge, but through the activity based upon the acquisition of knowledge, i.e., you walk what the knowledge is giving you. You don't just store it in your brain. You express that knowledge. You express actions that knowledge allows you to express. The freedom of understanding, the freedom of giving yourself to the Kundalini, giving yourself into the information rather than just acquiring the information. See, that's the real trick. It's not just, acquiring information is one thing. Living that acquired information is something else, quite different. Over.
That's quite profound, actually, because Okay. I have one more question, Chrism, that I forgot about, but I'm just after pulling up that I will ask you, and it's connected to that. It says, I am really sad inside. I'm slightly editing now. I'm really sad inside. I don't know what is going on. I am not feeling anything. I used to be fun and happy, but I feel sad now. Have no real interest in anything, just forcing myself to do stuff. Is this feeling of not feeling anything is the happiness? ? It's no fun. Can you please advise what's going on?
Yeah, as you change from a mundane-oriented individual to a spiritually Kundalini active individual, she begins to strip away those qualities and aspects of yourself that you have identified with fun, with outgoing, with being a happy person, laughing, smiling, all of these things. When she strips that away from you, your ego is going to reach for that, but it won't be there. It won't be there. And so when it's not there, the ego responds in depression, in anger, in fear, in loss. And instead of being lost, a person needs to begin to feel found. found in the way that the Kundalini has found them, and that is changing them and is evolving them into the new person that the Kundalini is giving into them. And so this is the correct attitude to have. You embrace what the Kundalini is giving you, but you also embrace what it is taking away from you. It may be offering this person a whole new level of enlightened bliss and enjoyment, but because they're so fixated on having what they feel they've lost, they're blocking the ability to bring in that new level of bliss. They're blocking it through fear of loss rather than want of gain. What has been taken away can be replaced by something far better. But when we're attached to just being, given that which we feel we have lost, well, we're unable to open to that which is coming. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Thank you. Okay, that I think is the very end of the questions. I've gone through the pages there, and I have nothing else to ask today.
Well, do you have any last words, my dear?
Oh, well, actually, something I wrote down that you must have said was, let your respect for Kundalini drive your energy. And respect, I've written it in big words, because it was something that was important to me, respect for Kundalini. So they're my final words. Let your respect for Kundalini drive your energy. Unquote, Chrism.
All right, everybody. I want to thank you, Atlantis Seeker, Guest 1338, Mary Jean, Phil, Vincent, and C.L. Morgan. Thank you, everybody. Joey, Santara, Rosemary, and all the other people that were listening in. Thank you for joining us in this program, in this episode of your experiences with the Kundalini. We'll be here this time next week as well. And so if you have any questions, feel free to join us in the chat room. We're here every Wednesday, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and that would be 11 o'clock p.m. Irish time. And I just want to thank Santara for her great help on the groups and with this program. I'd like to thank Rosemary for her great assistance with regards to putting on these seminars and keeping the Minnesota Kundalini community going and strong. I'd like to thank everybody who has joined us currently and who is joining us in the future looking at the archives. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this day. And I'll end it the way I started it.